We've talked about abandoned Disney attractions. Now we'll tell you about 5 audio animatronics that have been abandoned and even left to rot by Disney.
To talk about this, we asked for the help of our friend Ben Lawrence. He has an awesome channel where he talks about Disney and also abandoned places.
If you haven't done so yet, go check out his channel and subscribe.
Be sure to stay until the end for a special giveaway.
Thanks! I'm a huge fan of Disney and I love covering secrets and abandoned stuff whenever I'm in the parks. The abandoned animatronics we're going to cover in this video are some really interesting pieces of Disney history. Squids and Sea Serpents, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was one of the most loved attractions in Walt Disney World history. This attraction opened on October 14th, 1971, but unlike its Disneyland counterpart, Submarine Voyage, this attraction was directly based on the Walt Disney film and not the Jules Verne novel. The ride took submarines through the polar ice caps to rediscover the lost city of Atlantis and to observe magical mermaids. Guests were thrilled when they saw the animatronic sea monster guarding treasure or watched the giant squid attack another submarine. The original e-ticket attraction was a smashing success, but 23 years later, the ride was falling apart. The submarines were leaky and belching out smoke. The malfunctioning air conditioning system was causing passengers aboard the Nautilus to faint. The soundtrack was barely audible through the crackling speakers and the staff was fed up. The worst part is that thousands of dollars were spent every year to upkeep the attraction. So on September 5th, 1994, the park announced the ride would temporarily close for renovations. Well, the renovations never came and the attraction remained abandoned for 2 years until early 1996 when Disney officially announced the attraction would not be coming back. The submarines were removed, with some ending up in Disney's Boneyard while others were shipped to Castaway Cay. This area became known as Ariel's Grotto, and Disney added a King Triton statue to the lagoon and a special Ariel meet and greet area. And yeah, the submarines were removed, but the animatronics and sets remained abandoned underwater for 10 years until 2004 when the lagoon was drained and the animatronics and set pieces were exposed. Of course, they had a lot of water damage and nothing could be salvaged. One of the sea serpents was almost completely destroyed and the only thing that remained was his head, which is rumored to be in the hands of a collector now. One of the giant squids was mostly destroyed, but the other is resting safe and sound with an Imagineer. Max, Country Bear Jamboree. The Country Bear Jamboree opened at Magic Kingdom in 1971 and Disneyland in 1972. The attraction is a stage show with animatronic figures. Most of the characters were bears who performed country music. The audience includes audio-animatronic animal heads mounted to the walls who interact with the characters on stage. But today, we're not going to talk about the main show. Before the show begins, we can find 3 animal heads mounted on the wall. Their names are Buff, Max, and Melvin. They interact and react to the actions on stage and even take part in some of the musical numbers. Sometimes they'll end up arguing with each other at various points in the show. The attraction still exists at Magic Kingdom even though it's been reduced from its original version. But Disneyland's Country Bear Jamboree was replaced by the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh almost 30 years after it opened. Disneyland's Country Bear Jamboree had 2 stages. That means there was 2 audio animatronics of each character. When this attraction closed, some of the animatronics were sent over to the Walt Disney Archives, while others were shipped to the Magic Kingdom so their parts could be used as replacements for the animatronics there. And a set of the charming mounted heads still remain at Disneyland. Yep, as a tribute, the Imagineers decided to leave Buff, Max, and Melvin inside the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. In the Heffalumps and Woozle scene, if you turn around, you can find them checking out the whole scene. But not every animatronic was as lucky as these friends were. One of these animals, specifically Max, ended up abandoned and collecting dust underneath the elevated Doom Buggy track in the Seance Room at Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion. Nobody knows for sure which Max animatronic was abandoned, but there's 2 theories. The first is that this Max is the one that could be found in Walt Disney World's mile-long restaurant that closed in 1988. The second theory is that this is the Max that used to be in Disneyland's Country Bear Jamboree. Who knows which one it is, but I think we can all agree that this is not the best way to end up. Various animatronics. Horizons. Horizons was a fantastic attraction that opened on October 1st, 1983 in Future World at Epcot Center. This attraction took us into the future of what Earth might look like based on scientific achievement. It was kind of a sequel to the Carousel of Progress. While the Carousel of Progress focused more on the past, Horizons took place almost entirely in the future. This attraction had a lot of impressive animatronics in different scenes from the past and the future. It had sections like Looking Back at Tomorrow, where guests were shown visions of the future as perceived from the era of Jules Verne. Then they were shown visions of futuristic life in cities, deserts, under the sea, and even in space. And in the end, guests could choose which path they wanted to take back to Futureport. You could choose the space station of Brava Centauri depicting space colonization, the desert farm of Mesa Verde depicting arid zone agriculture, or the Sea Castle research base depicting underwater colonization. Sadly, Horizons closed on January 9th, 1999. The building remained empty for over a year and the animatronics were abandoned. Some of the animatronics were piled up underneath Carousel of Progress in the basement directly underneath one of the stages. The animatronics of Jules Verne, the dad from Mesa Verde, and what appears to be an astronaut from the Brava Centauri space station were stored and used for parts. Animatronic Animals Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. The Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland opened on May 28, 1960. This attraction featured a train that took guests through Bear Country, Beaver Valley, the Living Desert, and the Rainbow Caverns. During this train ride, we could see amazing scenes like waterfalls cascading off Cascade Peak, the Devil's Paint Pots, which were bubbling pots of mud in all kinds of colors, geysers shooting high into the desert air, and the famous, colorful, glowing waterfalls inside the Rainbow Caverns. We could also find lots of animatronic animals going about their way. There were beavers slapping their tails, black bears diving for fish in the mountain stream, deers having fun on a hilltop, boars sniffing the air, coyotes, owls, crows, and mountain lions. In all, there were 204 animals in their natural habitats in this attraction. The attraction closed on January 2nd, 1977 to make way for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which opened in 1979. Big Thunder Mountain reused many things from Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. We can still find the Rainbow Ridge town as the loading area. There's also a cool tribute to the Rainbow Caverns and some recycled animatronics that found their new home in this ride. But not every animal was lucky to move into this ride. It's said that Imagineers didn't know what to do with many of the animals, so they were just abandoned for a while until they were building Big Thunder Ranch, and they saw it as a great opportunity to just bury the animatronic animals underneath Big Thunder Ranch. Yeah, that's right. Some of the animals from this attraction wound up abandoned and buried under Big Thunder Ranch. Now they'll be part of Galaxy's Edge forever. Hitchhiking Ghosts, the Haunted Mansion. Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion has had some changes since its opening in 1971. First in 2007 when it had an elaborate transformation of the portrait in the foyer, new sounds, audio and visual effects in the stretching room, and the new endless staircase scene which replaced 2 rubber spiders before guests would see the endless hallway. And then in 2011, even more changes came to the ride. The mansion got a cool new interactive queue with new crypts, tombstones, a murder mystery game, interactive crypts featuring musical instruments to play, and much more. Click in the upper right hand corner if you want to check out more about this interactive queue. Another one of the changes that came to the mansion in 2011 was a pretty big one. The famous hitchhiking ghosts were gone and replaced with CGI projections. Both the first scene where they're standing next to each other and the scene where they're riding in the dune buggies with us were replaced with computer-generated ghosts. This change was only temporary while the Imagineers were updating the animatronics, at least for the first scene where the ghosts appear. The animatronics were missing from February 2011 to April 2011 when the new animatronic hitchhiking ghosts were revealed and they had much more detail than ever before. That's not the case for the dune buggy riding ghosts. These animatronics were permanently replaced by CGI. The old animatronics were rumored to be full of asbestos and remained abandoned in the mansion for a while until 2011 when they were auctioned off at the 2011 D23 Expo, and they sold for $38,000. Looks like they were finally able to follow someone home. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these abandoned Disney animatronics. I had a great time sharing this information, and I would love to share more facts with you in the future. And of course, I'd like to thank Fastpass Facts for the opportunity to join them on this video.
Thank you so much, Ben. It was great working with you.
Now, for the giveaway, this is our 100th video.
And because of that, we're doing a special giveaway.
And we have a special gift for you from the Old Prop Shop.
All you need to do is follow us on Instagram, like our latest post, and comment what is your favorite Disney park.
Thank you so much.
See you next week.